Russia asks for silence but strikes Ukraine every day. Will there be a ceasefire on May 9? At the same time, Russia shows that Churchill, de Gaulle and Roosevelt welcomed the Russian army.
Russian army that tore the guts out of the German military machine.
I'm Albina Peterniak. We will analyze the news of Ukraine and the world together. Russia claims that it wants silence on May 9, but it is shelling Ukrainian territories every day. Volodymyr Zelensky showed in his telegram the disaster that Russia has caused just this week. Only today there was an attack on Kyiv and Cherkasy. The Russians attacked several Ukrainian regions with shaheds.
All the night long, rescuers in Kyiv extinguished fires, houses and cars after the attack by Russian drones on residential areas. Unfortunately, there are children and adults who were injured. Everyone was provided with the necessary assistance. There was fire in Cherkasy. An ordinary dormitory was burning. That night, the Russians also attacked Kharkiv, Mykolaiv and Kyiv regions with shaheeds. In total, 165 drones were used during the night. Most of them were Iranian shaheeds. All morning, the strikes by guided air bombs on Donetsk and Sumy regions continue. The Russians ask for silence on May 9th, but they themselves attack Ukraine every day. This is cynicism of the highest level. A real ceasefire is needed. Ukraine is ready for silence starting from any day, but at least for a month, to put an end to the war. A real ceasefire is needed. Ukraine is ready for silence from any day, but at least for a month, to put an end to the war. If silence, then every day. If there is a ceasefire, it is not for their holidays, but for every day. Thank you to all our partners who continue to help Ukraine and put pressure on Russia.
On the eve, Volodymyr Zelensky responded to Putin's proposal for a 3-day ceasefire. The Ukrainian president noted that Ukraine insists on a 30-day ceasefire. Here's what Volodymyr Zelensky said, and I'll quote him: "An unconditional ceasefire, the model proposed by the Americans, we are following it. From this date or another, preferably earlier, yes, let's try for 30 days. Why a 30-day ceasefire? Because it is impossible to agree on anything in 3, 5, 7 days.
This is more of a theatrical production on his part, because it's impossible to build any plan for the next steps to end the war in 2 or 3 days. And that's why it just doesn't look very serious or very unserious. To play in order to give Putin a soft atmosphere to come out of isolation on May 9th and for everyone to be comfortable and safe. Those leaders or friends or partners of Putin who will come, for one reason or another, to Kremlin Square on May 9th, no one will help Putin. We are simply either at war or Putin is showing that he is ready for a ceasefire for the first part of the end of the war. We are ready to start from the 1st, from the 3rd, from the 5th. If he needs the date of the 7th, we don't mind. From the 7th to 30 days.
In Fico's opinion, Zelensky's statements are a treat, and the Ukrainian president, they say, is mistaken that this will affect his decision to come to Moscow. He says that 2 students will go there with him, as well as Slovak and European deputies.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to respond to external factors. First, I have to object to the statements of President Zelensky, who allegedly threatened that anything could happen during the celebration of the victory over fascism on May 9th in the Russian Federation. This is unheard of. It's just ridiculous to me. The way Mr. Zelensky is telling us, I'm a small player, I'm not the one in question, but he's telling the Chinese president, he's telling the Brazilian president, he's telling presidents and heads of state and prime ministers from countries with hundreds of millions of people that you shouldn't go there cautiously because we, Ukraine, will do something to you. This is not how it is done. I refuse such threats because of security. I fully believe that the safety of the participants is an internal matter of the Russian Federation. But if Mr. Zelensky believes that his shout doubts will cause foreign delegations not to come there, then this is a huge mistake, but I had to speak out against this way of speaking. I am very sorry that Mr. Zelensky and others are mixing the past with the present. My God, these were Ukrainian soldiers who were dying.
As we understand, Fico and Vucic will go to Moscow on May 9. This is also reported by Russian media. Fico allegedly personally confirmed his intention to attend the parade in Moscow, but the head of the Serbian Ministry of Finance, Sinica Meli, said that although it is unclear how quickly Serbian President Vucic will recover, he will most likely keep his word to attend the parade in Moscow. In addition, the head of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, will also visit the Russian Federation from May 7 to May 10. Meanwhile, in Russia, on the eve of so-named Victory Day, the inadequacy is reflected in new forms. Simonyan posted a video in her Telegram that was made by the propaganda channel Russia Today. In it, with the help of artificial intelligence, they generated Winston Churchill, who allegedly prizes the Russian army during the Second World War. This is how the Russians distorted the image of Churchill, de Gaulle and Roosevelt.
No two militaries are more intertwined than ours. No two countries have done more together to keep people safe. And in a few weeks, we mark VE Day, the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe. Britain and America fought side by side to make that happen.
I shall take the occasion to repeat tomorrow in the House of Commons what I've said before, that it is the Russian army that tore the guts out of the German military machine and is at the present moment holding by far the larger portion of the enemy on its front.
Putin himself, meanwhile, pretends that everything in Russia is going according to the plan, as they like to say. There was a noticeable trend that when something bad happened in Russia, they would broadcast Swan Lake. But now, in order to fool the Russian people, propagandist Zarubin made a film about Putin. In that film, he supposedly came to Putin to visit his apartments. He walked with him through Putin's gilded rooms, and among other things, he again talked about the threat that Russia could pose to the whole world. In particular, he talked about the nuclear threat. It looks cynical how, in the midst of the seemingly everyday conversion, propagandist Zarubin, sipping kefir, asks Putin if he can use nuclear weapons. According to the scripts, Putin replies to Zarubin that he supposedly has enough resources without the red button. Further along in the scenario, Putin takes Zarubin to a church that is equipped in his apartment. I suggest you watch this video, which simply breaks all the walls of reality.
When they provoke us, provoke us, provoke us. Even there, NATO missiles have already started to hit us, and people, many of them, already had a desire, roughly speaking, to strike back. Why such equanimity during these 3 years? Because it would have ended in a nuclear war in such a case.
You said it right. We were meant to be provoked. They wanted us to make mistakes, so there was no need to use the weapons you just mentioned. And hopefully, we won't have to. We have enough forces and means to bring what we started in 2022 to its logical conclusion, with the result Russia needs: a house church. No questions asked. If you have questions, let's go.
Further along in the scenario, Putin takes Zarubin to a church that is equipped in his apartment. I suggest you watch this video, which simply breaks all the molds of reality. Putin will threaten the world with nuclear weapons until he is stopped by force. Russia doesn't understand the format of diplomatic agreements, and that is why Russia will negotiate when it is really forced to do so. The whole world needs to understand this, and thank you for watching this video. Please press the like button if you liked my presentation. For more people to be able to see this video,